Joey Diaz, Ralphie May. God bless his soul.
We would. I mean, that's how fast it was. I'm in a rush, guy.
Yeah.
I got to go figure out the sleep apnea fucking thing. So do
Right.
you want tickets for the show? We took a picture, and while we're taking the picture, that's when he starts his shit, the guy. About fucking going to fucking some country, the jungle of Amazon, and doing fucking ayahuasca and all this shit that I don't
Those
even
dirty white
I
people.
don't need to hear this shit. This is not for me. You want to take a chance, go to the Bronx and get a $3 bag of heroin. You don't need to go all the way to
Yeah.
fucking. But for what listen. Before you move to LA, you see how these fucking idiots work. You ever watching TV? And you're trying to lose weight, and you're working real hard, you're doing jumping jacks, and all of a sudden some Hollywood guy comes on and goes, I have a new revolutionary way to lose weight. We do this. These motherfuckers always got the next answer. Well, guess what? I'm from the 70s, bitch. That was the answer. That was the answer. You motherfuckers are still living off the 70s. Every TV show, every fucking movie, you guys are living off the fucking 70s, okay? So when I see it's like Quaaludes. Quaaludes were great. They became ecstasy.
Yeah.
That's what happens. They become ecstasy, but it's the same cousin to the fucking Quaaludes. The same thing that just evolved. Me, listen, you want the answer? Take a hit of acid. When my mother was dead, 3-4 months, I think I recovered from the pain. I ate acid every fucking night. And that breaks down whatever problem you have. You don't need to go to ayahuasca in the jungle and have a shaman around you breathing.
Stinky, dirty.
Yeah, all you need is a $3 hit of some good fucking window pane. You put on Black Sabbath, fucking Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. The answer to your questions will come to you. I don't care if you put the Beatles' Help on. The answers to your questions will come to you. I'm telling you this as a man because this is what I did for fucking years when I was recovering off the biggest pain you could possibly have in your fucking life. So don't fucking tell me my fucking job, okay? This, and I'm going to tell you in front of somebody just so you guys know, and he's going to tell you. This November, I'm going to be clean off coke for 10 years, Ralphie.
I know.
10 fucking years. Can you believe that?
Fuck yes.
Did I go to get Rogan? Did I go to Brazil?
No.
Did I go get hugs? Did I go to rehab?
No.
Do I need to go to fucking AA and get all these people in LA go to AA to get clean.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks later, they go to a doctor and they give them a stretch of pills.
Yeah.
And also they have all these symptoms, these fake fucking symptoms. And they're giving you pills, so you're just drugged up on pills, but you're still going to people telling them you're on AA.
Yeah. And not for nothing. I was there the last night. You had a great fucking run, and that was a great last night to go out on.
I had a great fucking
That was a great fucking night.
27-year run on fucking blow.
Yeah, but I was there at the fucking finish line, dude. That mean, dude, you smoked an ounce of my fucking Matzo G weed. An ounce, okay? After eating like 4 dinners. It was terrific food, all right? And we're laughing our butts off. And then I bring out mushrooms. Oh, after dinner, fucking get you started. Let the day go. Let's remember the Indians, natives. All right? And we
Don't
put them
start
out
with
there.
the Indians. Remember what happened?
Hey, I love the Indians. Are you kidding me?
Don't bring the fucking Indians up.
I love them.
The last time you
them.
brought Indians up, you had to do benefits. And
I'll still
there's a
do
kid
it.
with a tomahawk somewhere.
Fuck yeah. No, I know. I sent that kid to camp. Space camp. I'm helping out natives. I'm fucking saving them. Somebody's got to do it. Anyway, listen to this garbage. I bring out an ounce of fucking great mushrooms, Hawaiian ones. Have you ever had the Hawaiian ones?
I don't know. You have to ask him.
Okay, the regular ones are a little bit bigger. The Hawaiians are smaller and the cap's thicker. All right, and I brought out a fucking ounce of the most deadly fucking mushrooms on the planet. Coco ate half an ounce of mushrooms. Okay. Half an ounce. Do you understand me?
Why?
On top of smoking, because it was Thanksgiving and he was goddamn thankful. All right? He did all of that over the course of like 6 hours. Okay?
And then went to the comedy store and did a set a la Theo Von.
Pow! Zoom straight to the moon.
And the fucking lights in there were turning purple. The whole original room was purple, and I'm in there telling jokes on stage.
Oh,
and it
my
felt like I
God.
was the only one in the room. I couldn't even see the audience members. I got in my fucking car.
So funny.
And I got the fuck out of there. But 10 years with no drama. No. Oh, my God. I feel like doing blow. I'm going to what's that? What's the word they use? I'm going to
relapse.
relapse.
I'm gonna relapse.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
you make
yeah,
a decision.
Right.
You set your
Joey,
mind
here's
to
how
it.
you quit. I ain't doing that no more.
I ain't doing it no more. That's it.
That's all you
That's
did.
it, guys.
There were no 12 steps.
There was no 12 steps. There's no hugs.
Coco took the escalator.
There's no fucking.
I ain't gonna do it no more.
I ain't gonna do it no more. I don't want this poor girl I'm with to find me on the floor dead. I don't want her to walk out of the bedroom and see fat little legs in the kitchen that are turning purple because I want to do blow in front of her. I can't do it no more. And that's pretty much the fucking end of it.
Dude, that was real as shit, man.
But it's like we had so much drama to getting high. Like, I like to just roll a joint. No. You got to roll a joint and cut a matchbook and put a filter.
Yeah.
What filter are you talking about? What filter are you talking? A matchbook cover? You got to be cool. Everybody wants to be fucking cool. I'm through with cool.
Right.
I didn't play that game. Where I'm from, they didn't play the cool game. You were just fucking, either you were cool or you didn't. Nobody teaches you. You putting on a T-shirt doesn't make you cool.
No.
You putting a goatee and shaving it real tight, you know, like a fucking half a fag, that don't make you fucking cool. You know what I'm saying?
But it does tickle my balls.
Yes, it
Thank
does.
you.
But everybody in LA wants to be cool. Oh, no, I'm going to go to Mexico City. I haven't talked to them. I'll tell you what. Shut the fuck up. Just take it. Listen, if you're not going to do a hit ass or take a $3 bag of heroin, just leave me the fuck alone. It's not my world. It's not my world. I don't even want to listen to that kind of talk. I never did.
There's a reason people are just hearing about it now. It's fucking stupid.
I know it's and listen, it helps people with opiate addictions and it helps all these type of people and shit like this.
I
But you
didn't
know
know.
what? Take it to somebody else. All right?
Yeah, no
I'm an old
shit.
school type of fucking guy. And that's the way I'm gonna go out. That's Lee and me have conversations every night and Lee looks at me because he knows I don't give a fuck. I don't know what you're talking about. You want an adventure? Go to the Boogie Down Bronx. I'll surround you with 20 black guys and 3 Puerto Ricans. And that's an adventure right there. You don't need to make till you can tell your friends at Starbucks, I went to Brazil. Oh my God, you're so strong and valiant. Shut the fuck up.
Go fuck
These are the same
yourself.
people that were going to go to Canada when fucking Trump became president. You know,
Man.
I'm just sick, dog. It gets old, man.
No
It
shit,
gets
dude.
fucking old. I come from a different fucking society of people, and men act like men. You know, every night I turn the fucking TV on. Tonight they're protesting again. How many times am I going to tell you? There's no future in protesting.
There's none.
There's no future. People who
All
do
you
that,
doing is learn how to bitch.
they go down there to fucking with a hole in their chest. Just do drugs like I did. You don't have to mingle and to be cool. So people go, oh my God, you're marching. Fuck you. Fuck you. I got better things to do with my time.
Yeah,
it's called life.
Yeah, you're creating traffic. I know you don't like Trump, but go fuck yourself.
You're creating traffic.
Fucking making traffic, you cunt. I hope you all get AIDS in your mouth. Fuck you. All right? They're a bunch of dicks. Okay? I got stuck in one of that goddamn woman march, and I didn't know why they were bitching. Okay? All right, you don't like Trump. Hey, you guess what? Maybe you should have marched your ass to the fucking voting booth. All right? Because he told you 3 weeks before, hey, I'm going to grab you by the pussy. And you know what? Most of America was like, I'm cool with that. That's all right. I can overlook that.
Nobody likes fucking Trump. Everybody's mad at fucking Trump.
Yeah. Well, they should have done something when they had the shot. Okay? You know, what bitches me about being a Democrat is fucking... You have until the end of the game to win the fucking game, Coco. You have until the end, the fucking last play. All right? Like fucking...
New England on Sunday.
Yeah, New England on Sunday. You thought it was over? No, we got overtime. Now we're going to settle it. Okay? All right? And instead, all right, these assholes, these little fucking Democrat pussies are all fucking crying. I want to recount. I want to fucking recount. I want to get the Electoral College not to do this. You lose on Sunday. You don't wake up. Nobody from the Falcons woke up on Monday and go, man, you know, everybody, I know we lost yesterday in the biggest, you know, fucking choke you could ever lose. All right, but we really wanted to win. So now if everybody just agrees that we'll just say that we won, that's cool, right? That's cool. It's cool that we won the Super Bowl, even though New England won, but we really won. You know what I mean? It's like you fucking, I don't give a fuck if referee Vladimir Putin blew the fucking call. I don't give a shit. You fucking lost, you lost.
You know what, bro? The way I look at it is they had Bernie Sanders.
They had Joe Biden, a man.
You had Bernie Sanders, but you drank the fucking juice of being cool and a woman president. You jumped up and down like a fucking momo that you are. You know, you fooled the country one time. And I'm not saying fooled the country, but Obama was one of those weird presidencies. It wasn't going to happen twice, bro. You know, the WHO said it best. We won't get fooled again.
Yeah.
We won't get fooled again with the fucking smoke and mirrors and the Priuses and the, I know people who were buying clothes to go to Clinton parties
Oh yeah.
on the West Side. Like, that's how fucking
Fuck yeah.
embarrassing it got. Like, they had to sit there and watch that fucking teleprompter. Me, I don't give a fucking. I think we were doing a podcast, man.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
with Totoro.
With the tour. Yeah, we were doing a fucking podcast.
Oh man, it was little Nicky.
Yeah, we didn't give a
Oh
fuck.
man, you didn't give a fucking two dicks about nothing, man.
If you know how hard we've worked in our lives and what we went through,
Right.
there wasn't a president there to help us. Not
None.
one fucking time.
None.
Not one time.
I love Obama. He never gave me a fucking glass of iced tea.
Not one of them. When I was I still remember when I got thrown out of the benders. It was the day fucking Reagan got shot.
Yeah.
You think when he was laying there on the floor, he goes, "Hold on, Joey, I got a place for you to move to."
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah,
Reagan
fuck
didn't
no.
fucking reach out.
Fuck no, man.
In fact, that's why I learned about bureaucracy. Was when my mother died. That's when I really learned
Yeah, right.
what this country's all about.
Joe Rogan, Sam Harris.
Very interesting to me how it seems to be there's always pushes and pulls in life. And when you have things that are as horrific as factory farming and people are exposed to it, then there's this rebound and where people are trying to find a solution. And I always wonder, like, will that be the first artificial life that we create, like zombie cows? Like maybe if we figured out that meat in the lab is not good because it has to actually be moving around for it to be good for you. Maybe they'll come up with some idea to just, look, we're going to make zombies. We're going to make livestock that essentially can just move forward and consume food. There's no thought whatsoever. These are zombies. You can go right up to them, you wave your hand in front of them, they don't even move. Is it okay to kill those? And then go from that to making artificial people. Because it seems to me that artificial people, it's going to happen. I mean, it's just a matter of how much time. If they're making bladders, and then they're going to start making all sorts of different tissues with stem cells to try to replace body parts and organs, and they're going to work their way through an actual human body. It's going to happen.
So do you mean a brainless person that would be like spare parts for you? Or?
That for sure. That's an option. But I think also an artificial human. I mean, it might take 1,000 years, but I think if we stay alive, if human beings continue to evolve technologically, within the next 1,000 years, we're going to have artificial people that are completely.
So you mean they're people? So we're going to build a biological person. So
100%.
So it's a synthesized person, right? So it's not. You're not talking about the perfect robot. You're talking about an actual person.
Yeah.
Built up cell by cell. There's no reason why that's not possible. And whether or not we would do it is another question. But I had this
Somebody would. China.
Presumably there are limits even in China.
Aren't they doing experiences already with human embryos?
I don't know what they're doing in China.
I believe they are. I believe they got the go.
I just know they have that dog festival that every year I see people tweet about.
China's a big place, though.
Yeah.
Can't rump them all in there. But, what is that gene splicing software? CRISPR.
CRISPR, yeah.
They're using CRISPR on human fetuses or human embryos.
Right.
So good luck. Good luck, world.
Yeah. Well, so
China's creating super athletes.
There are many issues there, but so when you're talking about changing the genome, and especially when you're talking about changing the germline, then it gets passed on to future generations. That has big implications. But I don't see why. I mean, this goes to it's like the artificial meat conversation. So to grow meat in a vat is ethically the same thing as, at least in my view, it'd be the same thing as producing a brainless cow, right? So you have the whole cow that you could slaughter, but it has no brain. So presumably there's no experience in this animal. But it is the fully functioning animal, right? So let's say you could produce that, and you would produce healthy meat. It's just a messier. Presumably, you have to feed this thing, right? Or I don't know how you get it to eat, but you'll say you feed it intravenously. It all begins to look weirder and weirder, but there's no suffering there because there's no brain. I think we would. And I think we have decided to bypass that vision and just go straight to the vat and just build it up cell by cell and build up only what we need, which is the meatball or the steak. And so why have the fur and the organs that you don't want and the mess and the kind of the energy intensive aspects of producing a whole animal? And I think with like spare parts for humans, rather than create a clone of yourself that has no brain that you just keep in a vat somewhere in your garage, where you can get spare kidneys when you need them, we would just be able to print the kidneys, and that is because that gets around a lot of the weirdness, right? It'd be weird to have a copy of yourself that's just just spare parts. Whereas it wouldn't be weird, or at least in my view, it wouldn't be weird. It would be fantastic to be able to go into a hospital when your kidneys are failing, and they just take a cell and print you a new kidney.
Yeah. I think that can be expected.
Yeah.
That's going to, I mean, if it's possible. It seems like it's going to be possible.
It's the bladder example you just gave is what's happening there.
It's amazing. But I always want to extrapolate things to some bizarre place 1,000 years from now for some reason. Because I've been, since I got into Dan Carlin's hardcore history, it really fucked my mind up about how I think about the past in this way that I look like 1,000 years ago in comparison to today. And I try to think, well, how much different will people be 1,000 years from now? And probably way more different.
Yeah.
I mean, the fascination that we have with ancient history is that one of the things, obviously, is we want to know where we came from, but also we can kind of see people today doing similar shit if they were allowed to. Like if everything went horribly wrong, people at their base level are kind of similar today as they were 1,000 years from now.
Yeah. Well, one of them might be running for president.
We can talk about that. And when I think about the future 1,000 years from now, with the way technology is accelerating and the capacity that we have and ability to change things, to change the world, to change physical structures, to change bodies, to dig into the ground and extract resources. Like we're getting better and better at changing things and manipulating things, at extracting power from the sun and extracting salt from the water. There's like all this bizarre change technology that's consistently and constantly going on with people. And it continues to get better. When I think about 1,000 years from now and artificial people and this concept of being able to read each other's minds and being able to map out imagery and pass it back and forth from mind to mind in like a clear spreadsheet form, like what is that movie, the Tom Cruise movie? Minority Report. Thank you. I mean, that's on the way. It's on the way. It's going to be incredibly strange to be a person.
Yeah, whether we will be people in 1,000 years, I think you would, unless we have done something terrible and knocked ourselves back 1,000 years, I think we will decide to change ourselves in that time in ways that will make us. There may be many different species. It's like tattoos. You have a bunch of tattoos. I have none. You could take that a lot further if you can just begin really tinkering with everything.
Oh yeah, if you want to get nutty and put bolts in your head and shit.
Or just give yourself just fundamentally different genetic abilities, right? I mean, like you could just go, you could become a different species if you took it far enough.
Maybe that's what the aliens are. Maybe that's why they all look the same. Maybe they figured it out. Like, look, you got to look alike. Otherwise, you can't appreciate each other. One guy's weird looking, one guy's short, one guy's got a big nose. Everybody's so confusing. I have too many people I can hate. Everybody look exactly the same.
Yeah.
So the government gets together with all the people of their planet, and they go, look, we have a problem with this good-looking thing. It's bullshit. It's holding us back. A lot of people that are stupid, they're getting ahead. We got to all look the same. Blank, emotionless, and big giant eyes.
Yeah.
That's it. They all just went in.
Yeah, with a passion for molesting cattle.
Allegedly. I think that's people. People are blaming that on the aliens.
I had this guy on my podcast, David Deutsch. Have you heard of him? He's a physicist at Oxford.
Yes, I have. Why have I heard of him?
He wrote a book. He gave at least one TED Talk, and he's written two very good books. The first came out about 10 years ago, The Fabric of Reality, and the more recent one is The Beginning of Infinity. And extremely smart guy and very nice guy. And he has this thesis, which he and I don't totally agree about the implications going forward for AI, but he's convinced me that of his basic thesis, which is fascinating, which is his the role that knowledge plays in our universe, or the potential role that it plays. And his argument is that in any corner of the universe, anything that is compatible with the laws of physics can be done with the requisite knowledge. So he has this argument about how deep knowledge goes, and therefore how valuable it is in the end. So I'm cueing off your notion of building an artificial person, I mean, literally, cell by cell, or atom by atom. If that, there's every reason to believe that's compatible with the laws of physics. I mean, we exist, right? So we got built by the happenstance of biology. If we had what he calls a universal constructor, the smallest machine that could assemble any other machine atom by atom, we could build anything atom by atom, right? And so he has this vision of it, like you could literally go into an area of deep space that is as close to a vacuum as possible, and begin sweeping up stray hydrogen atoms and fuse them together and generate heavier elements. I mean, so you could start with nothing but hydrogen, right? And with the requisite knowledge, build your own little fusion reactor, create heavier elements, and based on those elements, create the smallest machine that can then assemble anything else atom by atom, including more of itself, right? And you could start this process of building anything from a person to, something far more advanced than a person.
To a planet?
Just anything that's made of atoms, right? Anything that's organized. And so the limiting factor in that case is always the knowledge, right? So it's either the limiting factor is either the laws of physics, either this can't be done because it's physically impossible, or the knowledge is what you're lacking. And given that human beings are physically impossible, there should be some knowledge path whereby you could assemble one atom by atom. Right? There's no reason why. There's no deep physical reason why that wouldn't be the case. The reason is we don't know how to do it, right? But presumably it'd be possible for us to acquire that knowledge. And so the horizon of knowledge extends functionally without limit, right? We're nowhere near the place where we know everything that's knowable. As witnessed by the fact that we don't yet know how to build a human atom by atom. But when you imagine just the changes that could occur in our world, with the frontiers of knowledge explored, 10,000 years beyond where we are now, I mean, we would be unrecognizable to ourselves. I mean, everything would be equivalent to magic, if we could see it now. And most of human history is not like that. In most of human history, if you dropped into any period of human history, it was, for all intents and purposes, identical to the way it was 500 years before and 500 years before that. It's only very recently where you would drop in and be surprised by the technology and by the culture and by the what is being done with language and the consequences of cooperation among apes like ourselves. And so I think that, this is one place where someone like Kurzweil makes a lot of sense. This is clearly accelerating, right? If we don't do something catastrophic to set us back, this acceleration is the implication is that the future is going to be far less recognizable than it has been in any other period of human history.
The idea of creating a little machine that you could shoot out into the universe and it'll build you a planet.
Yeah. But a planet's not planet's obviously big and the basis for our biosphere and everything we care about. But the planet is not what's complicated. It's
ecosystem.
It's the life on the planet, and
Right.
our own brains being the ultimate example of that complexity. But presumably, intelligent systems can become much more complex than that. Right? There's no reason to think that we are near the summit of possible intelligence, biological or otherwise. And it's once you begin thinking about building things atom by atom, then the future begins to look very weird, because it's automating that process, right? Where you have, and this is the promise of nanotechnology, where you have tiny machines that can both build more of themselves and more of anything else that would be made of tiny machines, or assemble anything atom by atom, or treat your own body like the machine that it is and deal with it atom by atom. I mean, that's the possibilities of intervention in the human body are then virtually limitless. So it's I mean, that's where the physical world begins to look just totally fungible. When you're not talking about surgery where you're cutting into someone's head and hoping, in very coarse ways, hoping you're not taking out areas of brain that they need, but you're talking about actually repairing. I mean, if you can tinker with atoms in a way that you understand, then you're talking about repairing anything,
And creating anything.
Yeah.
Like literally Dr. Manhattan style, build ice condos on Mars. I mean, you could create art with it. You could do anything with it. It would just somehow or another have to be programmed with whatever pattern you were trying to create. So
Yeah.
you could essentially like make an Earth somewhere else with all the biological diversity, water, even intelligent life. It all could be done through some sort of a machine.
Well, it is
ultimately one day.
It is at bottom, again, just the information. It's the knowledge of how it's organized and how to implement it. So it's like it's analogous to what has happened in films now, where like the animation in film has gotten good suddenly, right? Where you can see like they can animate, waving hair and flowing water, and it looks pretty damn good. It looked terrible 30 years ago, right? And we just acclimated to it looking terrible. But now you can really trick the eye. You can build up scenes of nature where they're not actually using any photography of nature to build it up. It's all a confection of ones and zeros, right? They've just built it in software.
Like The Revenant, perfect example. That giant bear that attacked Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right. See, I don't know how that was done, but I mean, I had heard that was all just pure CGI, right?
There's a dude in a costume that acted it out with him, but essentially it was just all CGI.
Yeah. So the fact that that's beginning to look good, obviously that's just all surface. That has no implication for the, building a rendering of a bear on film is not the same thing as building a bear. But the fact that we can move so far into modeling that kind of complexity visually, you just imagine what a super intelligent mind could do with 1,000 years to work at it, right? And that's we're on the cusp of, and when I say cusp, I don't mean 5 years, but let's say a century. We're on the cusp of producing the kind of technology that would allow for that.
And if we put it into perspective, photography, I don't believe was even invented until the early 1800s. Right?
Yeah.
Is that when it was first?
It sounds about right.
Is there photographs of Lincoln? There are, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So was that the early 1800s when he? When was Lincoln killed?
1865.
1865. Yeah. So somewhere after that, or somewhere before that, rather, they invented photography. 1820.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's so essentially, give or take 10 years, 200 years ago. That's really amazing.
Oh, yeah.
If you stop and think about The Revenant from 200 years ago.
We couldn't figure out how to get sound in our movies until
but that
100 years ago.
That thought right there just freaked me out.
What thought?
The 200-year thought. Like how little 200 years is in the Mongol days. And now 200 years ago, they didn't even have cameras, and now they do. And now they have this insane ability to recreate things like Game of Thrones, wolves and dragons, and she's riding around on a dragon. I'm like, yeah, it looks like she's on a dragon. It doesn't look like old school King Kong movies. You know, you ever try to watch those?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla.
It's the mark.
Comedians making jokes, is that, you know, in terms of society, in terms of fixing the ills of society and looking for someone to point a finger at and create some sort of social change, comedians telling jokes. Why is it at the top of everyone's list? I mean, a newscaster, you know, politician, a clergyman. There's
Go after the bankers,
chief of police. When those guys make an off-colored remark, then maybe you should say something about it. But when a comedian says something, don't you already know inherently by his title that it's a joke?
I was having this exact conversation last night with Daniel Tosh about comedians going after comedians, because, you know, Coogan going after Jeremy Clarkson. And we were talking about David Cross going after Larry the Cable Guy, which is one of the most confusing things. I like David Cross, and I like Larry the Cable Guy. I think Larry the Cable Guy is funny. Is he the greatest comic in the world? Well, that's up to you. For some people, he is. He's a good joke writer. He's got a good character. I think it's good. There's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely not. And I would never go after one of those guys because it always just seems like sour grapes.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so you're not selling out
exactly
ultra domes,
right? And
thus you're pissed off about it.
And this is what I got accused of when we were attacking Mencia, you know. But I was like, look, man, there's a lot greater than him that are way more successful, and I'm not going after them. Like, it's not a sour grapes issue. It's an artistic issue. When you go after someone, who's doing something you don't agree with, or you don't like his material, well, fucking obviously someone does. Are you saying that your sense of humor is the only one that's valid? You know, like, you can't enjoy Larry the Cable Guy? No one can enjoy it? Well, he's a racist, and he says racist things. And no, he says a lot of things that a guy that was Larry the Cable Guy would fucking say, dummy. Right. And it would be funny. You're talking about a guy in a flannel T-shirt with cut-off sleeves talking about Arabs, them towheads. That's what he would say, you know? It's a fucking character.
Well, listen, you know, Andrew Dice Clay did the same thing.
Except Andrew kind of became that guy.
Right.
Andrew, you know, the Dice Clay, Andrew was Andrew Silverstein, and the Dice Man was one of his many characters.
Right.
He would go up and do John Travolta. His fucking John Travolta is deadly. He would go up and do all these different characters, and the Dice Man just killed so much, it eventually became him. And then, you know, everywhere he goes, he's wearing weightlifting gloves and leather jackets and shit. And he's that guy.
I think he's had to what happens is with these careers is Gilligan, you know, a year after Gilligan's Island goes off the air, Bob Denver goes, fuck this. I'm not wearing that stupid white hat and the red crew neck sweater thing and the white boat pants. Like, bullshit. And then he does about 10 years of this is bullshit. And then he does about 5 years of soul searching. And then at some point, he opens the closet and grabs that hat and says, you know what, I'm going down to open that fucking boat show in Long Beach and walk out here with $9,000. Yeah. And then it starts to wax nostalgic about it. So I think the Dice Man put down the pack of cigarettes and the leather vest and said, I'm going to do some other things. And then at a certain point realized I ain't paying the bills doing this.
Do you remember when he had a sitcom? He went clean for a while. He had a sitcom on CBS and it was called Bless This House or something like that. Wasn't it called that?
It was like when Kiss went unmasked.
And it was with the woman from Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck is
Salman
her name?
Rushdie. I mean, Sally.
What the fuck was her name? Because she was super hot and then she got chubby as fuck.
Yeah, she's not D'Angelo. Fuck is her name?
Kathy Moriarty.
I mixed
she
her
was
up.
hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And then, you know, much like all of us, she fell apart.
I saw the Daisy Duke girl.
Catherine Bach.
Yeah, saw her at a comic book convention. It was the saddest thing you will ever see. Her sitting there with her little shorts, but they weren't as short as they used to be. God. And she just sitting there, no one talking to her, no one even knowing that she's sitting there. I just walk up and I'm like, this is Daisy Duke right here. And she goes, and I'm like, oh, you're signing autographs? And she goes, $25. I'm like, oh, no, no.
Right.
And I was like, can I take a picture? And she goes, yeah, that's $10. I'm like, no, it's with my camera. And she goes, yeah, it's $10. But it was the saddest thing ever. I'm like, no, thank you. And I just walked away, and this little Daisy Duke just sit in the corner by herself, sitting at a folding chair.
Can I tell you something that's sadder? Moments ago when Joe was like, what's the name of that author? And they put the fatwa on the guy, remember? And wrote satanic verses. Remember that? What was the name of that guy? And I'm like, yeah. That author, remember? He had to hide because they put a hit on him. And Cat Stevens, gave it 2 thumbs up. And what's the name of that author? And I'm like, I damn, couldn't tell you. But when you're like, I saw Daisy Duke, Catherine Bach. Fucking sad.
Well, when we were kids, she was
so
hot as
I know.
fuck.
It's just sad that that's where my knowledge base is.
She's not that old, though. How old is she?
She looked probably about 50.
So it's just the booze. Is it booze?
It looked just like sadness. It
Just sadness?
It was just sadness. when I
It's
saw
booze
it.
or drugs. It's amazing how the booze really jacks you.
Those little freckles weren't there as much anymore.
Oh, she's done. But then you look at like Christy Brinkley's still hot as fuck.
Well,
somehow
see,
or another she's keeping it together, and she's
thi-
like 53.
I have this fun imaginary game
Oh.
I like to play when I
go.
get stoned, which is a sort of the X. It's like it's a cross, okay? And let's say when you were in junior high, let's say you're in the 7th grade for the sake of argument, and Dukes of Hazzard is hitting its prime.
Just a good old boy.
Boys. And they're blowing up the outhouse with
Never
the
knew
crossbow
that.
and whatnot. And you're just sitting there and you're seeing an episode that has Catherine Bach and then tight Daisy Dukes, and she does that thing where she leans over the open hood and the steam comes out and everything. And now there you are, little Peckerwood, New Jersey, in 7th grade, and now you're at the bottom of each X. You couldn't get further away.
Right.
It's not like you
True.
stole a bus ticket to L.A. You could fuck
you
Catherine
fuck
Bach. No way. You're a million miles away.
So true.
Okay, but now you start heading up the legs of the X.
Just a good old
Now we move on 10 years.
Never mean
Joe's a stand-up comedian, getting started, having a little success, making a little money, growing into his body. He's he's become sexually charged. He's 23,
Throbbing penis.
22, 23 years of age. Now, Dukes of Hazzard's been off the air,
15 years.
Yeah. Been off. Well, no, I'm saying at this point, yeah, okay, let's say it's been off 10 years.
Okay.
10 years. But she's
Right.
36, still
Right.
looking pretty
Right.
tight, whatever. But Joe's not looking too bad either, and Joe's starting to do a little stand-up, whatever. At what point, Joe, do you cross her? Like, at a certain point, I mean, when you were in the 7th grade, you would have sold your fucking soul and killed your stepmom to get one lick of that pussy, right?
Right.
But if I
Now
asked you
she's repulsive.
if I asked you this second,
Yeah.
well, then obviously you guys crossed.
Yes.
What year did you cross? That's my game. And then there's something like, ooh, you haven't crossed Christy Brinkley yet, or maybe you're meeting, maybe about 9 months away from just hitting right in the middle.
No, Christy Brinkley's still above me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got me. Yeah, she's
All right, but maybe
she's
maybe
still
you're-
hot and she's 53.
No, she's like 57.
Oh Jesus!
That's my point. She's gonna be 60.
Well,
Joe.
maybe I crossed her at 57.
But
maybe
she
I
looks
crossed
great.
her. Yeah, maybe she doesn't. With TV, you can never really tell.
I'll have to ask Christine. We'll see what we can agree to. Be an awesome conversation.
But yeah, the Catherine Bach thing, it all depends on how much Catherine Bach took care of herself, whether or not she was still
Sure.
in movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some women that even though they've kind of deteriorated, they still have a level of
You're
respectability.
doing news radio. She's been off TV for 14 years. You know what I'm saying?
Once Fear Factor happened, I had her. She
Yeah.
was mine. Mm-hmm. She was mine when I was hosting. If I wanted to get Catherine
Why to
Bach,
work
I
out
could
some
do it.
sort of bracket list, you know what I mean? Where just really you could find all the chicks you wanted to fuck when you were in the 8th grade and see when you cross them.
There's nothing stranger than watching a woman go from being beautiful and having ultimate power. A really super hot chick, a super hot 21-year-old chick has it's almost voodoo, like their body and the way they move and like the way they smell and if they like you and if they're smart too and if you're not sure if you can get them, it's like, God damn, It's almost fucking voodoo. It's ultimate power. It's super celebrity power. The reason why celebrities get so
It trumps
ridiculously fucked
celebrity.
up trumps everything. The reason why celebrities get so ridiculously big-headed is because everywhere you go, people are kissing your ass. Everywhere you go, people are, here's, free bottle service. Here's a limousine for free. Please eat at my restaurant. You're amazing. You've changed my life. And you start thinking
That is an
you really are
awesome
the
thought.
shit.
That is an awesome thought, Mr. Rogan.
But girls, from the moment they're little, you're so cute, you're so beautiful, and then they're in high school, then it becomes currency. It becomes the thing that defines them. And then it goes away. And it goes away slowly. It goes away weird, where they start looking like that rough bar girl, like still hot, but in her 30s, but, you can see her at a cigarette. Maybe I get a couple of shots of Jack in you, and let's just go fuck in the woods,
Right.
Just some crazy bitch. It's just, she's not the 21-year-old girl who's the cheerleader who's impossible to get. Now she's this wild bitch who's just, you feel for her. She's trying to pay her bills. She's been divorced, and then eventually they become monsters. They become this weird thing, especially if they go down the surgery route. Please, ladies, please, just get old. Don't go crazy. Don't fuck with your lips and your neck and all that nutty shit. That does not make you look better. It makes you look different. And that different is not a good different. It's a weird monster different.
Well, also, you guys are going through, historically, a bad phase because your mother didn't have to worry about plastic surgery because it didn't really exist. And your daughter won't really have to worry about it because they'll have perfected it.
Worse, you are genetic engineering.
Yeah, you're in the experimental phase and it ain't working out. It's sort of like CGI. It's a bad generation because our folks were watching movies that every stunt was an actual stunt just done by a dude who didn't give a shit. And our kids enjoy CGI that works so effectively you can't tell. We went through a whole phase where we had to watch shitty movies with really bad effects because they were perfecting it on our watch.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the theater. Well, now we're in the theater of plastic surgery, and all you women, it's the 50-year experimental phase while they're working on it, and you're looking like shit.
Yeah, I have to compliment you because Brian Callen said this about you, and it's absolutely the truth. You are the best at taking one scenario, whatever it is, and just going on this fucking rant,
pretty amazing,
and coming to these awesome conclusions. Oh,
thanks.
You're dead on about it.
I love that Brian Callen, by the way.
He's awesome.
I ran into that guy we're shooting a movie, and I just doing a little bit part and a little bit movie. And Brian came up to me and he said, you may be the best at doing this improv stuff. And I said, I don't know. And there's probably other guys who do it better than me. And he said, who? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, someone's got to be the best. And I said, I guess they do. And he said, well, then that's you. And I was like,
he told this exact story in those exact words.
I walked away.
There.
I've never fucking felt better in my life. I was like,
so great.
It's true, man. You go on these wild rants, but they come to conclusions. They come to great conclusions. I don't know how you generate material or if any of this stuff you've already talked about on stage, but seriously, go back and listen to this podcast with a fucking notebook. And there's 3 good bits in there, at least.
I never listen to anything or go back and revisit
Hire someone
anything.
to do it. Hire one of your
I did
folks.
that. That's how I wrote the book. I swear to God, I just said you have to listen to all this stuff and find the stuff out. But it's always sad because I've tried it a few times, and a few times the guys have gone and listened to a couple of shows, and then I go, find anything good? And they're like, not so much. And then it's like, oh, you mean I didn't say anything fucking good?
You got to get a better guy.
shows.
Get a better
you
guy.
get a better guy. They get a little better crab comb.
Get a guy and make him get high before he watches you.
Yeah.
That's very important. We were talking about this. There's a lot of people say, oh, you're always talking about pot. Why are you always talking about pot? Because it's fucking awesome, all right? And it's awesome, and it has this terrible reputation, this wrong, incorrect reputation because of fucking Nancy Reagan and Just Say No and Nixon and all the nonsense and propaganda that they force-fed you. It is a plant that is here, and it has benefits. That has great benefits for your mind. And to pretend that it doesn't, to me, is ridiculous.
We did a few things. We started lumping drugs in under one umbrella.
Absolutely true.
Just like you would no sooner do it with, you were just talking about women. Hey, Joe,
right.
I would like to set you up with woman. You'd be like, what colors her hair? How tall
Right.
is she? How old
Yeah.
is he? What's a cup
Or when
size?
someone
Like,
says you hate women,
yeah, it's
because
not
you
women,
think
right.
one woman's
So
a cunt.
It all just became drugs, and somehow
Yeah.
methamphetamine and marijuana just sort of got lumped
Yeah.
in under the same umbrella.
You
which
do
is
drugs?
Fucking such a huge mistake. And then the other thing that drives me insane about our legal system, when they pulled those guys over who went on to rob the North Hollywood bank over there in Laurel Canyon, those crazy motherfuckers who were like, and by the way, they were beaked out of their mind on uppers, and that's why
And steroids as well.
and everything else. But all right, they pulled those dudes over in like Eagle Rock, and they popped the trunk of their car, and they found ski masks, police scanners, body armor, maps, automatic weapons that were modified illegally. I mean, semi-automatic weapons that were modified to go full automatic with armor-piercing rounds and extended banana clips and stuff. They found everything in the trunk of their car that basically said, oh, these guys are on their way to rob a bank. When they arrested them, they could not get them for attempted bank robbery because the law says, hey, man, we got to catch you robbing a bank. Just because you're driving around with police scanners and armor-piercing bullets and ski masks doesn't mean you're going to rob a bank. We know practically it means you're going to rob a bank. But the way our law system, the system works is you have to rob a bank, and then we will prosecute you for robbing a bank. And we all agree, all right, that's how it works. And these guys got locked up for a little something, something. And when they got out, they gave them back a lot of their police scanners and a lot of their shit that was their property. Fine. Then they robbed the bank, and then they had the North Hollywood shootout, which was completely and utterly insane. But the point is this. We could not prosecute them for robbing a bank before they robbed the bank. And how come when you get busted for more than a shoebox full of marijuana or even a coffee can full of marijuana, you get intent to distribute?
Right.
They don't have to catch you distributing. Maybe I just like to stock up on weed. That's insane. That's an insane part of the law to me, because every other thing works is we need a body for murder and we need a witness for attempted murder. This is the only thing where they go, you were going to do with this pot, even though they never caught you doing.
Adam Carolla, HBO, lovely lady, Carla Moore.
Captains of crab boats and everything else. Carla Moore is our guest today. She's vice president, point of sale strategy and education at HBO. Been there for 20 years. So much to talk about. A book called Crash, Leading Through the Wreckage, using your personal power to transform your leadership. Good to speak to you, Carla.
Yeah, it's good to see you and speak to you. I'm excited to be here today.
I've really become interested in motivation and leadership and personal growth, and I've heard a lot of the things you have to say in the book about growth, and then the sort of lack thereof with many people, like just how cemented people are and into habits that don't serve them at all.
Yes.
And other people just say to them, hey, don't do it. And they just can't stop.
You can't do it. You can't be told to do it. You have to want it. And it's interesting you make that observation because I talk about it all the time. You could look up and be 40 and 50 and 60 and still doing the same thing every day. So there has to be this intent, this desire to want to change and shift.
Well, the notion, this thing where it's sort of like you could be turning 50 and be the same person or have the same stack of bad habits you had when you were 17, is not only you. It's not only you could, you will.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple of parents. They're both still alive. They're in their mid-80s. And I was talking to someone about them the other day, and they are who they are. Like I just said, they're taking it to their grave.
That's it. In fact, I just heard recently something I promote all the time or say all the time is that do you know where the most talent is in the world? It's in the graveyard. People literally are dying with their own talents and gifts going unrealized. So you're right, Adam. If people don't consciously say, am I living the life that I was meant to have, and am I contributing to the world at the level I'm supposed to. If you are not consciously asking yourself and taking into account an assessment of your life and the people around you, yes, you'll look up and be 50 and living the same life you were at 20.
Well, you also talk about not so many people, especially these days, everyone is out there trying to change the world around them. And I'm like, it's noble, but it doesn't work very well. Like, you got to change. And if you're, look, here's my, I mean, under this pretense, you have a relatively short period of time on this planet. So many people dedicate so much of their time trying to get their neighbors, the politicians, and the world at large to change around them. Good luck with that. I just feel like change yourself, change your family. And if everyone did that, then obviously the world would change.
And that is a big key key message and theme in my book. Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change himself. And just by virtue of changing yourself, you will change the way people interact with you. You will change the spaces in the rooms that you're in. So change you. Get yourself better, and the world will become better. So yeah, it's about you focusing on you, literally the key driver of my book.
How now? Did you have to transform yourself? I know there's a story in the book about a car accident and losing weight, running a 5K, and travel and all that. Was there? I'll ask you this. Personally, I took a look in the mirror when I was 19, and I went, "Well, I have to change a whole bunch of stuff in order for me to have any success." And I'm not bred for success. I don't come from success. I don't know any success. My family doesn't know any success. And I must change tons of things about me if I'd like a shot at success. So I knew that. And I never said to anyone, hey, this is how I do it, or back off, or I know what I'm doing. I went, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. I must change dramatically.
That's pretty early.
It was pretty early, but it was pretty evident looking around to what I had and didn't have and what everyone else had and didn't have and everyone's life, that it's going to be a long, uncomfortable life filled with a lot of poverty and no dental insurance. So I was like, I better fix this.
Yeah.
So I went about to fix it. I didn't know how to fix it. I just sort of went about to try to fix it. Did you had a sort of moment with a car accident, but before that, was this something you were thinking of?
It certainly was. So first, I have to acknowledge, 19 years old and being that aware and enlightened, that's pretty strong.
Only enlightenment was as I knew whatever I was doing was not working.
And that is a big
But that's all I knew. I didn't know how to fix anything.
Well, most of transformation and most of growth and development is acknowledging and realizing that you're in something that you don't want to be in. And I don't very often meet people who at that age, even in the conversations I've been having now since I've written the book, since the book has been out in April, people are not getting into this awareness until their 30s and 40s, which happened to me. So to your point, it was later in life when I realized I am going to have this, and nothing is going to keep me from living the life I imagined. Now, that happened at 40 when the car wreck happened. In fact, at that time, at the moment of the crash, I was over 300 pounds. I was single, turning 40, still single. And literally, despite an MBA, I was completely lost. I was sad and dark, and I knew it. Here I am making big, bold business decisions by day at HBO, but coming home and consuming volumes of food and in tears every night. I knew I was in the hole. I was in a hole. But I also was on my first diet at 8 years old. So this awareness around me, just in my size and the space I took up in a room or in the world, I was very aware of that early. I just couldn't make it happen until 40.
How? Well, again, I was talking to Norman Lear, legendary TV producer. I love telling this story because it means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to everyone. He was sitting where you're sitting a couple of years ago doing this show. And at the time, he was 91, maybe 92. And he said, oh, I'm much different now at 92 than I was at 89. And I thought, I never thought about that because we always think, oh, you just are who you are. And then at some point you become old and then you're just old person. You know what I mean? Like you don't have any more new ideas and you're not evolving. You're dying. Essentially, you're decomposing. You're not composing. And so this notion that everyone under 30 or under 40 or under anything should understand you should feel quite a bit different at 50 versus 44.
Yes, sir.
And it's not something that's ever really preached. You know, when you're a kid, it's just an adult. That's your dad's friend. He's an engineer. He is who he is. It doesn't matter if he's 45 or 70. It's just that guy, you know? And I guess a lot of people are just that guy or that girl, but you should try to be different. You should be better. You should be more efficient. You should be faster. You should think differently. You should be more of all things that are good.
And you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. And unless the adults around children have this sense and awareness of growth and development is not just steps in life, go to school, get the degree, get a job. There are also growth and development components of who you are as a person, yourself emotionally, who you are. So if, back to the theme of the book, if you take care of you, if you get yourself together, if you get a sense of who you are, what you are here to do, and what you're in it for, if you know that, then you know how to share that with people around you, including your children. So yes, not only do I speak to business professionals, mid-level, executive level, even business owner level, I've been I've been sharing this with kids in elementary school. I've had an 8-year-old say to me, and of course he's in my family, he says, Carla, the key to change, being willing to change is the key to change. Like I've been saying that to him for the last 10 years and he gets it. We have to begin having these conversations with friends, family, other folks, because people don't. Adam, you're right. People don't think that this is a part of growth and development.
I'm curious, a moment before I walked into the studio, when you were already in the studio, I had this exchange and with a coworker, and I'm kind of a broken record with this, but I'm really sort of obsessed with it in my adult life, which is I walked over to the sink. There was a plate with some schmutz, some gravy or cheese or something on it. It was sort of sitting up top. I've said to everyone 10,000 times, give it a shot of water and let it soak. Don't let it dry up overnight, because if it dries up overnight, then you got to scrub it with the hard part of the sponge and blah blah blah. So I turned to Nate, who I work with at the other building, and I said, I don't get it. You put the plate in the sink. Just give it a shot of water. I don't get how many times I have to preach this to people. And he said, God, I've done this with my wife 500 times, and I'm done. I don't even want to start in a fight anymore. And I said, I do the same thing with my wife, which is I got her to put the coffee mug with an inch of coffee in it next to the sink. Now I've progressed to the part where she puts it in the sink under the spigot. But I'm like, would you give it a shot of water so it won't have that ring dried up? It's been an ongoing, we're getting into over a decade of arguing about this thing. And I think to myself, I think people they don't say it, but they have some sort of ego wrapped up in free advice. And I tell people all the time, I have a nanny for my 2 kids. She's a hardworking Guatemalan woman who probably doesn't have a ton of education. She tells me things. She says, hey, that skillet, that iron skillet, and you're used to soaking everything, don't soak it. It'll rust out. And I'm very aware of it. Like, there's this woman who's my employee who comes from a parts unknown, who is not very well educated, just coached me up in my own kitchen, and I'm all ears. Because I don't want the skillet to rust out. And you know what I don't want to do? I don't ever want to come home and have her go, hey, remember we talked about you leaving the water in the skillet and how it rusts out? Well,